Test subject still unconscious. I may have overestimated how much sedative I needed. Clearly humans are a rather delicate species. Oh, I stand corrected. The human has awoken. Computer, I'll now begin the preliminary assessment. Remain calm, human. You've been abducted for a brief, non-invasive study. You'll be returned to your natural habitat once the study is concluded, with no memories of your experience, no scars, implants, or missing body parts. Oh, and you've been restrained for your own safety, as well as mine. You're probably curious about what I am. Frankly, I couldn't care less about what you're curious about, but I have to obey protocol if I want to conduct studies on lesser species. Wasted time, in my opinion. It's not like you're going to remember any of this. Anyway, I'm a member of the Zarin species. We're an advanced race, something you'd consider as aliens. We control a few star systems on the other side of the galaxy. Our laws dictate that we can't interfere with the development of less advanced races, which is why we haven't contacted your planet openly. Well, of course that's supposed to be how it is, but you humans have become the subject of an unusual interest among my people. Well, Zarans tend to find humans beautiful, your primitive lifestyle notwithstanding, to a problematic degree. Quite a few Zarans are leaving to live among you humans in secret, and some lawless groups are even abducting humans and bringing them home with them. It's starting to become a serious issue. The fact that you haven't learned of our existence is nothing short of a miracle, really. I'm conducting a study to determine what exactly is behind this phenomenon. My personal hypothesis is that it's all rumor and exaggeration. I think your kind has kind of been mythologized, and once a Zarin goes through all the effort to reach Earth, which is no easy feat, by the way, they lie to themselves and say that you're all just as wonderful as advertised to justify the trip. Anyway, so I'm going to be taking some verbal notes during the study, so just don't mind my train of thought. Lay back and relax. Or don't. Doesn't matter to me. Anyway, initial observations. I must confess, there clearly is something to the rumors. The fact that our species look so much alike is an incredible coincidence. The subject looks like a Zarin, except idealized. Almost as if one of our own had been genetically engineered to perfectly fit the conventional Zarin beauty standards. I'm currently uncertain if all humans are this way, or this one's an exceptional specimen. More data is needed. Their voice is also very easy on the ears. Smooth and melodic, if I had to describe it precisely. I'm uncertain if this is what they truly sound like, or if the universal translator is altering it for some reason. Perhaps it doesn't matter. Most Zarans will use the translator anyway. Of course, it still remains to be seen whether humans can be truly good companions. That they can be considered attractive by our standards is stretching probability enough as it is. I personally doubt if they can make for pleasant long-term company. This study will determine how compatible Zarans and humans are with each other, whether long-term compatibility is actually feasible. At the risk of sounding impartial, I think the ideal result of this study would be to find that humans are too primitive and barbaric to make good partners. This discovery would end the wave of unsanctioned visits to Earth. First of all, I'll need some basic information about your body. Just because you look hot doesn't mean you don't have, some kind of acid sweat or hidden venomous spines or something. I've taken some scans and measurements while you're unconscious, so that's probably not the case, but there are a few things that would be useful to know that require your cooperation. Keep in mind, human, the more helpful you are with this study, the sooner you can be returned home. Let's start with some deep breaths. Ready? Deep breath in. Hold. And deep breath out. Again. In. Hold. And out. Lung capacity is good. You wouldn't have a problem living in our atmosphere, human. And I can assume the reverse is also true. Next, I'm going to show you a screen. When you see it change color, Just tell me what color you see. Mm-hmm. Yellow. Uh-huh. Red. Very good. Purple. Mm-hmm. Correct again. Huh? No, that's just a different shade of purple. What the hell is blue? Oh, interesting. Your eyes must work differently to ours then. And that could actually be a concern for Zarans trying to blend in. If any humans got suspicious, they would seek out anyone who can't see this blue color. Well, I guess there are easier ways to identify a Zaran if you know what you're looking for. Unfortunately, that won't be enough to deter the human lovers. Now then, I'm just going to get a bit closer to you and... Hey, is that you? The smell, I mean. It must be. You smell... It's hard to describe. Sweet, I think? It's undeniably pleasant. Frustratingly so. I'll need to remember to run a scan for potential pheromones compatible with Zaran biology. Perhaps this could explain some of our fanaticism towards you. Ooh, maybe I shouldn't have inhaled so deeply. I feel a little lightheaded. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and say that the pheromone theory is likely. It's remarkable that it has this much of an effect on Zarans. Well, let's see. Now for the next test. I'm kind of curious about some of your facial features here. Are they pliable as... Oh, that took me by surprise. Your skin is much softer than I would have expected. I think it might have been a mistake to touch you without gloves, honestly. But now that I already have... Remarkable. It's so pliable and stretchy. Very unexpected. I would have thought a primitive race like yours would have rough and dry skin. This is very pleasant to touch. Alright, well, that's enough for now. Pardon me while I take more notes. I must amend my previous hypothesis. There certainly is something to the rumors. If this specimen does indeed properly represent humans, then their species are pleasing to the eye. To all senses, really. I haven't tested taste, of course, and I don't plan to. Unless... I would find it strictly necessary, of course. This is irritating. Humans can't actually be this enticing, can they? A completely separate species that's evolved on a completely different planet shouldn't align with our beauty standards at all, let alone so perfectly. There must be something going on around here. Perhaps your kind is Zaran descended? Maybe a group of Zarans in the early days of space travel secretly settled here. I'll have to investigate, see if you humans stand out from the native life here or not. Or am I being tricked? What if this is all some kind of elaborate setup? Maybe we're all being fooled by some alien race even more advanced than we are. But why? What would be the point? Maybe my supervisor's right. I do sound unhinged. No. I can't accept this. There can't be a whole planet of bizarrely gorgeous aliens just perfect for us. I mean, how could I compete with that? That would mean that they had a right to leave. Human, I think that maybe I've let you get caught up in an obsession of mine. You see, there was somebody that I used to be in love with. They were just amazing. And I was so thrilled when they gave me a chance. But the relationship, well, It ended up being a lot of work. For both of us. When they heard about humans, well, they left. They said they needed something different. Something that felt magical. I wanted to believe that they were chasing some stupid fantasy. That they made a huge mistake. But, well, now I wonder. No. It was definitely a mistake. Look at me. I've only been evaluating you based on attractiveness alone. How shallow is that? The real issue is compatibility. That's what I need to figure out. Whether humans can actually make good partners, not just eye candy. I don't have any tests prepared for that, though. I was so certain the rumors were false, I didn't even consider that I might need to investigate further. I'm gonna have to figure out some tests to learn if humans can be actually long-term companions. In the meantime, though, I suppose you're staying here with me. It's not exactly ideal, for you at least. I actually don't mind too much. That is, well, I can't keep restrained to the examination table the whole time, now can I? You won't attack me if I release you, right? I don't think humans are inherently violent, or there wouldn't be so many Zerans coming over here. Alright, well, if you say so. I guess if you do attack me, I can be fairly certain humans aren't suited as partners, at least. Alright, well, just a second. Okay. Good. Well, I guess I should prepare a holding cell for you. Sorry, poor choice of words. It'll be more comfortable than it sounds, I assure you. You know, human, it's gonna be nice having you around. It's been a pretty lonely journey after all. Having someone like you to talk to is gonna be refreshing. Especially someone so nice to look at. Follow me. I should be able to have the next tests ready soon. It's inconvenient, I know, but you're gonna be part of some very important research. This should do a lot of good for both of our races. I look forward to working with you. Quite a bit, actually. Ah, human. How have your quarters been for you? Hopefully adequate? Well, I don't know why I ask, really. It's not as if I could or would provide anything better. But I do think this should be more than sufficient for your needs. Oh, good. Anyway, I've been going over the data from the test we ran earlier, and it's certainly been interesting, if a little bit baffling. Quite honestly, I'm still not entirely certain how to interpret all of this. Half of me thinks I've been duped into abducting some sort of genetically modified organism. Something designed specifically to appeal to every one of my tastes. But that's hardly a scientific stance. To assume that the data you collect is false because it doesn't align with your expectations. So I've decided on a test to help me better understand your nature. It's not the most scientific test, but I think it should help me grasp exactly what about you is so alluring. Follow me. Oh, and I realize you may have some concerns about how long you've been gone. You don't need to, though. Standard procedure for extended examinations is to give you a normalization implant after you've returned. While you have it, you and those around you will feel less inquisitive about your absence. After a month or so, I'll return and remove it. By then, you and all your acquaintances won't question the time you missed whatsoever. Here we are. This test will take place inside our simulation chamber. Generally, it's used for entertainment during long interstellar voyages, but it'll suit our purposes nicely. And there. This will be the setting of our test. Yes, well, I'm not very familiar with how humans do this sort of thing, so I had to use what little data I could scrape together to design the setting. A picnic at sunset is probably not the most inspired setting, but... Oh, you're right. I never told you what test this is. It's, well, we're simulating a courtship ritual. What your kind would call a date. It's just for science. I told you before that I wanted to test if humans would make good long-term companions, eh? This seems like a decent start, wouldn't you say? Based on my limited research, food consumption is a popular activity for these dates, as is doing things outdoors. And, sunsets are supposedly romantic to humans. Was this incorrect data? Oh, good. Well then, shall we sit? Now, while I have done some research, I'd like to hear it from you. What do you usually do on a date? Interesting. So it's a way to get to know each other then. If you ask me, an advanced matchmaking algorithm would be more efficient, but this has its charm, I guess. Well, in that case, please, tell me about yourself. I'll just be helping myself to these, what are these exactly? I just took some from Earth after leaving behind some valuable metals of equal worth. Huh, I see, yeah. Well, I guess I'll try one. Ooh, that's quite gritty. And the flavor is, well, it's not like anything my tongue tentacles ever had before. I'm reasonably certain it's edible for my species, but... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm being rude. Please, I'm genuinely curious to hear about what your life on Earth is like. Oh, is that right? Charming. Yes, I see. Do you? Do you really? Goodness, I don't know if I could live like that. Well, that's quite enlightening. You certainly have interesting stories to tell, and you're much more articulate than I would have assumed for a species of your level. It's a good sign. I gather that you're a touch, naive, but it's endearing. Like, I think it's called a puppy? Me? Oh, no. This experiment is really more about you. You don't need to hear about my life. Well, I suppose. Alright. Though, there's not much to say. I'm a scientist, as you can tell, but my original field of study was astronomy. I only turned to xenobiology, the study of alien life if you didn't know, after my partner left me for a human. It was so sudden. To be honest, I'm starting to wonder if I'm being fair, assuming that she left me all because she was chasing some fad. Truthfully, I've never been the best at understanding relationships. Maybe she left me because of me, not because of your kind. You're, much easier to talk to than I expected. I don't usually open up to people that quickly. Maybe it's those pheromones of yours? I don't know at this point if it's all humans or it's just you. But you seem very easy to be around. With that, on top of all your enchanting physical qualities, I fear I might start to become addicted. I wonder if that's healthy. Just imagine, having a whole race of beings who are objectively more pleasant to be with than our own. If humans ever became widespread among my home planet, well, that could be the end of our species. Perhaps I'm being overdramatic. It could simply be a matter of learning all the things that make you so special, and then learning to mimic them ourselves. Perhaps being in a relationship with a human would make someone a better lover overall. Frankly, I'm astonished this hasn't been researched more thoroughly. There are so many implications. Although, perhaps this is exactly the type of thing that got me into trouble in the first place. Overanalyzing things, I mean. Here I am with a lovely, charming being right in front of me, and I'm mumbling about research. You know, there is something that I've always wanted to try. Honestly, I've wanted it ever since I first laid my eyes on you. Would you be opposed to a kiss? Well, in that case... Whew. That shouldn't feel as good as it did. How did you do just that with your lips? Just to be certain, would you be considered to be an experienced kisser by human standards? Really? So that's just pure instinct then? Human? You continue to astound me. The more I learn about humans, the more impossible their existence seems. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to try it again. I want to see if I can do what you did. Wow. I could spend an eternity kissing you. Listen to me. Waxing all poetic. You're having an undeniable effect on me, human. I wonder if this is how Hia felt when they met their human. Well, I think I learned quite a bit from this experiment. Much more than I expected to, in fact. It makes me wonder about how much more there is to learn about your kind, and about you specifically. I doubt that even a whole battery of tests could reveal all of your secrets. Which makes me want to ask, is there much waiting for you back home? I know it's sudden, but I could bring you home with me. If you'd be willing to leave Earth, I could give you a whole life of leisure. We live in a post-scarcity society, you see. There's enough of everything for everyone to have as much as they want. You'd never have to work just so that you don't starve. We only work for the passion of it. And I could take you all around the galaxy. There's so many sights to see. I don't want to pressure you, though. I know you have a life back on Earth, and that's just not something to be ignored. If you have people that are important to you and goals that you don't want to abandon, then... Oh, that's an enthusiastic answer. Well, that makes me happy. And perhaps a little sad. It's a bit of a shame that you've been living a life that can be so easily left behind. But I'll try my best to give you a better one. Well, in that case, I'd better chart a course for home. It's going to be tricky to explain this all to the Science Guild, but I think I can get away with writing it off as a long-term study. We may have to do some experiments just to keep up appearances, though. If only Hia could see me now. I'm ashamed to say I said some rather nasty things to them when I found out their involvement with a human. I certainly have changed quite a bit in the short time I've been studying you. To think, now I'm bringing a human back home with me. You know, now that I'm getting over my frustration about humans, maybe they and I could patch things up. I almost wonder if we could... Oh, it's just a thing among my species. It's not uncommon for Zarin relationships to have more than two, Never mind. We can save that for another time. Anyway, I'm glad I met you. It's so strange that you have such a powerful effect on me in such a brief time. I could almost swear that humans are supernatural somehow. Though, I suppose at this point, anything seems possible. And to think, I went through all this assuming that I'd find some sort of fraud. But instead, I found the most spectacular being in the galaxy. How incredible. No. This is a bad idea. This is such a terrible idea. That's easy for you to say. This is normal for you. This is home for you. But I'm not supposed to be here. I was already taking risks by abducting you. But now, I'm planet-side. Eating lunch in the middle of a human city? We were supposed to be going to my homeworld. How'd you talk me into this? Just a quick visit before we leave? Yeah, I guess that's how you talked me into it. What a fool I was to listen. Listen to me. I'm normally so composed, so logical. But I just can't think right now. Why am I even here? That was a rhetorical question. I'm just starting to wonder if seeing humans in their natural habitat is worth the risk of exposure. If this hologram fails, I'll have every law enforcement officer in the sector coming to find me for a trial. Granted, but the members of my species already living here, they're risk takers. They're brave. I'm not like them. Honestly, I'm not really hungry. You can have it. No, really, Fine. This... No, it's good, actually. But very odd. It's not at all like the food I'm used to. Well, I suppose the food that I eat is a lot more heavily processed. No, I know it's safe. I thoroughly tested samples of human food to check for dangerous substances. Our respective biochemistries aren't terribly different from each other. Just another bizarre coincidence that makes our species compatible against all odds. Look at that. I suppose chemical analysis was all it took to calm me back down. You know, you might find this terribly shocking, but I'm a lot more comfortable in the lab than out in the field. If not for my obsession for learning about humans, I probably would have never left the homeworld. Everything is just, I don't know, more controlled than the lab. Specifically, under my control. Not that I've really felt much in control lately with you around. Not even in the lab. You've thrown everything into disarray. Oh, you know I don't mean it that way. It's my fault for expecting humans to be simple to understand. I should have known better. Anything that consistently elicits such an illogical response in a race as scientifically advanced as mine must be a nigh incomprehensible wonder. It was terribly naive of me to be so surprised to be surprised. I must say, though, seeing a human city up close makes it slightly more understandable. You all live in such chaos. I think you have to be unpredictable to survive here. Just look around. That person over there, they ordered long ago and hadn't dared to ask whether they forgot their order. But that one person, they've been asking for updates every few minutes. And the one back there, they aren't even ordering. They're just complaining about the menu. Of course, observation is my job. There wasn't any point in coming here if I wasn't going to watch and see what humans are actually like. Yes, of course. You're right. We're also here for us. A date, right? A real date this time. But back to what I was saying. My civilization is built on a comprehensive list of best practices. We all try our best to follow the list because it's the most efficient and precise way of doing things. It's actually rather common among sapient species to find the best processes for doing something. But you don't tend to do that. You all do things in whatever manner that comes to mind. Whatever is familiar or comfortable or consistent with your experience. It's dizzyingly confusing, yet you all treat it like it's so simple. It actually makes me worry. What if I can't handle being with a human? Even for a member of my race, I'm a slave to proper procedure. If I can't even get a meal with you in your native environment without panicking, then what am I going to do when things actually get complicated? Because they will. No, of course not. I want to do this. Everything about you is so alluring and exciting. You're like some kind of supernatural being out of mythology. Too perfect for a mere mortal like me. But maybe I'm not worthy. Maybe this wasn't meant for me. Maybe I just need a... That was so sudden. I wasn't prepared. Well, if you wanted to calm me down, that wasn't the way to go. I'm more worked up than ever, but in a good way this time. Thank you. I'm glad you don't find me too... boring. I always suspected that was part of why my last relationship ended. I wanted everything to be so controlled, predictable, and calm. How could that compare to the thrill and unpredictability of a human? Well, I appreciate the thought. Though, you being so kind just seems to make you and every other human even more stunning. You have every reason to be annoyed with me for all I put you through. And yet, you keep saying such sweet things. I think that part of it might be you specifically, actually. Not all the humans here seem to be quite so kind as you. But the physical attributes I discovered during my first examination of you seem to be everywhere in your species. You all have different body proportions, but yet they're all so appealing. The heavy ones look so soft and cuddly, and the slender ones, they look so sleek and graceful. Tall, short, muscled. Everyone looks breathtaking regardless. Oh, and the smell. I told you smell pleasant, didn't I? Well, when you're all together, it makes me feel like I'm practically floating. I'm actually sending data back to the ship for my brain implant because I'm worried it might be acting like some sort of recreational drug. Ah, you're right. I really shouldn't be fawning over all the humans I see when you're the human I'm on a date with. And no matter how lovely the other ones are, I wouldn't choose any of them over you. You know, it really has surprised me how attached I've gotten to you. I think maybe, if I'd chosen a different human, they would have remained nothing but a test subject, if an alluring one. But my fate was sealed because I chose to abduct you. I couldn't have prevented myself from falling for you even if I tried. And I really did. Yes, I've rarely been able to speak as boldly as this to you. I think that kiss of yours gave me the courage I needed to speak my feelings. It's things like this that truly amaze me about your species. You have this odd ability to change us. There's no way for me to measure it or even prove that it exists, but I can directly observe its effects. My opinion of your species, and even my entire outlook on life is different, thanks to spending only a handful of days with you. And of course, many others of my species have changed after meeting one of you. It's beautiful, but it actually worries me a bit. For the time being, us Zarans are mostly avoiding humans for fear of those changes. But what happens if this catches on? What happens when more of my kind start flooding Earth en masse? The truth will certainly come out, that's for certain. Your kind will learn of our existence. And then what? I'd hate it if humans started to be treated as some sort of possession or resource. You're all just so desirable and valuable. I don't know if we'll handle it the right way or not. Well, I suppose there's no point in worrying about it right now, is there? At the moment, it's just you and me here enjoying lunch. Yes, I think it'll be much more calm when we're on the way to my homeworld. Everything just makes so much more sense there. Now, could you tell me, how exactly I eat this thing here?